Push around and out. Push around. The arm pushes her to starts out around over the leg. And she's looking that way. It's nicer if you have a little expression. And pushes away with the left foot up in front, then drawing the foot behind. Now we'll use the same move and add a little crossover behind and a little 3-step toe run. Around, push back, crossover, and 3 toes, and out. Around, push, crossover, trun, and out. Around, push back, crossover, 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to do the inner forward pivot. This is a little bit more difficult to get going and to keep going, but it's a nice little move. She's going to again plant her left toe, and she's going to push forward on an inner with the right side. The shoulder still activates her. She lowers the right shoulder here a little bit just for more effect or expression. And she pulls up and turns a little 3-turn on the right inner forward to outer back. All right, now we're going to incorporate these 2 pivots with a spin. We'll do a camel, and then she'll come up onto the toe, do a back inner pivot and an inner forward pivot. Come into the camel, which this case happens to be inner back. Come up onto the toe. Then we'll place the right toe down, do an inner back and an inner forward and an exit. Catch the camel, inner back, inner back pivot, inner forward pivot, and exit. Now we're going to do what I call pirouettes. And as you do it, you get a little knee bend and a little bounce. It's not done stiff, and it has to be with a nice crisp motion. Forward, back, forward, back, forward, back. When she comes up with the left leg that is straight, it makes it look a little bit better. If from here, now the left leg is straight, and then you hop out onto the left and onto, again, the left is straight, the toe pointed there, it looks nice, and then you're going to come out and around. Okay, this is a terrace move. It's forward, forward, back, back, forward, forward, back, back, and out. Now, watch. Forward, forward, back, back, forward, forward, back, back, and out. We'll take a different view and notice the head as we come through. Forward, forward. Now turn the whole body. Go back, forward, forward. It's back and across back. Side forward, side back, side forward, side back. So each time the right leg goes, it would go in the front of the left foot, and then the next time it would go behind the left foot, and next time in front, and next time behind. For the lack of another name, I call this a fan. It's because the free leg comes way out like a fan. But you turn a 3-turn, and you hit the toe stop going backwards and throw the free leg up, most desirably in front. And of course you should try to kick it as high as you can, and it's a cute little quirk. Stroke, 3 to the toe, and out. Now if you notice, when she turns the 3, she doesn't turn the 3 to the wheels, but she turns the 3 directly to the toe. Starts on 4 wheels, throws the free leg through, and goes up to the toe, and around and forward through. then a little 3-turn to come out. There's numerous ways to end these quirks. And of course there are hundreds of them, and these are only a few. All right, what you see now is a Bauer, invented by a German ice skater called Ina Bauer. And it's a spread eagle with the leading knee bent. It can be done in either direction, or inner or outer edges from it. The right foot is slightly inside the circle, and the left foot is slightly outside the circle. All right, now we're going to do the Bauer at the left toe, come around forward with the right foot again, and into the Bauer again. Notice the nice arched position in the head, erect. Now we're going to do a novelty where the head is the novelty part. Now here, the stretch is nice. Now this one she'll bend the employed knee, which is often done, and it looks awkward. This one she'll come up, and she'll come up with a straight knee, and at the same time she flops her head back and forth, and it makes it interesting. Now here's a little piece that we're going to show you. We're going to try to use the music to it. And it's a series of steps that is basic elementary to intermediate footwork. Swedish, inner 3, inner back 3, stretch, outer forward, cross off around an outer, rocker, cross back, forward lunge, stretch, opposite inner back or outer back 3-turn, and a double mapes. Stretch, cross back, Bauer, Bauer, back, toe run, or crossover toe run that we showed you before, and the whole thing sort of goes together. So some of the footwork, there are novelties that we've done and that we've just tried to put together and with music. So watch it again. Swedish, inner forward, inner back 3, pivot like, stretch, outer forward, crossover, outer forward, rocker, cross back, stretch, lunge, a little stretch here from forward runs, a hard 3 because it's in the opposite direction, turns here, little hop turns, and double mapes. Up forward, lunge, stretch, crossover, Bauer, Bauer, back, cross, toe runs, and stop. Right now we're going to do some simple double combinations. We'll start with the axle loop double mapes. Axle, single loop, double mapes, lock the hip. Now if you'll notice, the axle has to be taken flat. It's very important that you take all combinations as much in a straight line as possible. Same technique for the axle, arm and leg together. If you'll notice, the foot is in front, straight out, and then the loop, which is not very, very high, and then the double mapes. The step jump, or as we would call the connecting jump, should not be extremely high. It should be a setup. Regular axle, small single loop, and the double mapes. Naturally, the axle would be fairly high, the loop would be very low, and the double mapes, the highest one would be the last jump. And the same thing will be done in the axle Euler Salchow, sometimes called a loose step. You hit the axle, then the Euler, but this time the Euler is done without the free leg coming through too far through, or at all through if possible. Then you have a little bit more time because the free leg has a little farther to go to come into the Salchow. Axle in a straight line, arm and leg together. Euler, double Salchow. The motion starts forward with the arm here, back with the leg and the arm at the same time, a medium height axle, a small Euler, and the leg gets in front before you pull the double Salchow up. Over and stretch with an arch and chin up. Axle Euler flip will be next. It's much the same as the double Salchow on the end, except the timing for the flip is a little quicker. You have a down up there, but the Salchow you have to wait for the free leg to come around, and the flip you don't. Axle, pop the Euler right away, and flip. Lock that position on the end. Just scrutinize it. You'll see as she's starting to turn, the hand comes front. The right arm goes back for timing with the axle. The Euler is done without too much of the free leg coming through. Almost land on an outer there and hit the flip. The Euler on the Salchow and the flip, it is done almost to an outer landing on the Euler. If you scrutinize it and watch it, you'll see that that's the way it comes down. All right, now we're going to do the axle loop, double loop. Now, one of the most important things is that you have to have the turn in the down up. When you land the single loop, that's the down. Now, when you land the single loop, your arm, right arm, should be high and back. When you bring the arm forward, you'll bring it through 45 degrees again, a little bit away from the body, not shoulder high and not close to the hip. And this is a 5-jump combination with 2 loops and 2 double loops. It's axle loop, double loop, loop, double loop. Now, the important thing is you must be set to throw the double loop off of every connecting jump. This is probably the secret to the whole thing. In judging this, it is very important to know that the quality of the combination is much better if it is taken in more of a straight line. Arm backing up, backing up. If you'll notice, coming off of the single loop, it's low. It's not high. It can't be much. See how high and back the right arm is, and pull it through on a 45 to do the double loop. Try to keep the wrap as low as possible. Now see how high and back with it is, and you draw it through, and you can do the next double loop. Stretch when you finish, lock that position, and try to get a nice arch. And now we're going to do the 5-jump combination with axle loop and 3 double loops in a row. I think I will test you and see if you can tell me the one of the combinations was not exactly a falter, but one of the double loops did not go up in a straight line. I'd like you to watch it. And same thing, arm back and through, back and through, back and through. Now, if you said that the second one, the last double loop, started to go outside the circle, then you would be correct. And now we're going to hook up a double loop with a double Lutz. I think in degree of difficulty, this is very hard to do because of the takeoff and landing of the Lutz and the flatness in which you have to be able to be in position to take off for the double loop. Come off flat here for the double Lutz. On the down motion, you must push the outer. Press the knee to the outside, get to that little toe. You upturn, down up. You come out, the leg comes out, and immediately has to pull through for the double loop. Once you land that double Lutz, you must be on your way into that double loop or it won't come off. This combination should be graded high. All right, now we're going to do the 5-jump combination to the flip. It's much the same as the single combination to the salchow. First with the axle, then a low single loop, then the double mapes, right off to the Euler and a double flip. Keep it flat. Arm and leg go together on the axle. Timing is the most important thing. It should be with good rhythm and without a delay or time pause to facilitate getting ready for the next jump. Now we're going to do a 7-jump combination. Now this one will test your content knowledge if you're a judge, and I'd like you to look at these 3 and decide what they are, and at the end I'm going to tell you. All right, the first combination was axle loop, double mapes, Euler salchow, Euler flip. The second and thirds were Euler flip, Euler salchow on the ends. We'll do a couple of triple combinations with Heath. First one will be a triple mapes, Euler, triple sow. Now if you notice, this is taken as flat as possible, and also the right arm will come through with the leg very, very, very hard. That because 2 triples in a combination are quite difficult. The degree of difficulty is quite hard. Again, I'd like to point out that it is very important that you stay in as straight a line as you can and almost land an outer back on the Euler. Next item we're going to do will be double axle, single loop, triple mapes. This also has to be in a straight line, and the same basics are involved. When you land the single loop, the free leg should be just ending and coming away from the body with a low wrap as low as possible. Then you come through. You cannot move anything until the free leg gets through. Then you can move the arm and shoulder. Remember, this should be flat. Weight on the heel going in. Foot inside the line on the axle. And out. Now we're going to come into the camel spins. The first one will be an outside forward camel. And what we're going to do is try to come into this with as flat back to forward mohawk as possible before taking 3 turns into the camel. Now, this is not necessary that it be done this way as far as the 3 turns are concerned. However, it does get your body going in a revolving motion. This enables you to get into the spin faster, and it will end up being easier to hold a good position and will last longer. The 3 turns, however, it's very technical, but the 3 turns are not like turn, 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 but they're like turn, 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 turn. Now the reason for this is because on the back to forward, you still have to rotate. The body is rotating. The turns go from forward to back and back to forward, but the body rotates at a steady speed all the way around. So you more or less have to wait for the body to get around. So it's forward to back and then back to forward. And then after that, you have to have an interim of a minute amount of time, and then you start the turning again. Again, it's turn, 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 turn. Now the hip is open, back on the heel. Try to keep a nice arch, and this was an exit on the toe. Now turn, 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 turn. She also uses the right hand each time she comes from back to forward. Now this time the left elbow is bent, and she comes up on an outside forward. Now we go turn, 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 turn. When she snaps it in, the left foot will come up under the body. Now the last one I'm going to do the slow motion at the very end. Here we're going to show you how the body is rotating faster than the feet are turning. So the body comes around. Now she snaps a 3-turn up under her body and is now getting into the spin. So the body will get ahead of the foot at the very, very end while it's still rotating. So then in order to line up the foot with your torso, the foot has to turn like a little 3-turn underneath the body. Bringing the free leg out to the side. It's difficult to come out of a forward outer camel into an upright. Usually these things are done in combinations, but when you're starting, you probably won't be going this fast. Now we're going to take the same type of walk, same type of entry, only now when you come under it, you will not snap the left foot under the body quite so much, but start to go to the big toe and you'll rock over to an inner back. Make sure that you have a nice open hip. Now if you'll notice, she uses the right arm a little bit to push forward. And she turned over into that possibly a little later than she normally does. She come up on an inner and changed over. The second one we'll do slow motion. Turns are taken as flat as possible, almost to an outer back on the forward to back. And she comes in and she's going to be rotating over the skate. The skate will have to catch up with the body. It's onto the outer. Now catch up with the body and come under onto an inner back. The quicker you get onto the inner back, the easier it is and the more speed that you'll get. It may not be easier to learn in the beginning, but the more speed you'll get out of it. If you do too much of an outer before you hit the inner, it makes the spin easier. This is probably a good judging point also. In doing inner back camels, you should try to hit the inner back as soon as possible. If you go in and hold an outer back too long and then come back onto the inner, it's much easier than snapping onto it, but the spin quality is not as good.
There are many ways to approach an item of content. The demonstrators have chosen a particular method of entry, even though other methods are equally acceptable. Judging points should be restricted to the item of content itself, with very little emphasis, if any, placed on the method of entry.
All right, now we're going to do the back outside camel. This is coming in from 3 turns. Also, however, these will be inner forward and outer back 3 turns. They are also done off timing, like not 1, 2, 3, 4, but 1, 2, 3, 4. And it facilitates the body rotating while the skate is not turning. We will come from the back inner and start forward. And pull in, keep the hip open. And this time her arms are outstretched. Pull up on the back outer edge as much as possible. When we come in, step forward flat and into the inner kind of flat. Try to get over as quick as possible onto the back outer. You come in forward on a forward inner. It has to be spotted on the forward inner. And then draw and hit the little toe. Now we're going to do the heel. This spin in degree of difficulty is very high. It usually is my experience that in training a child or a skater, that the first requisite, or before you do anything, you have to have an excellent outer forward camel. Now, the thing that must happen is you must come into it very fast, or the heel will not maintain its center. Whenever you're coming into an outer forward spin, or even an outer back spin, the spin diminishes in speed steadily once you get into the spin. On an inner back, you would probably pick up for a moment before it started to diminish, but on the outer forward it diminishes. So the point that I'm trying to make is that if you're not onto the heel within 2 revolutions of the outer forward camel, then the spin is going to be less than optimum. Now, it's a fact that if you can't get set to go onto the heel before 2 revolutions, then it would be crazy to go into it. However, you must accept the fact that if you end up going more than 2 revolutions forward on the outer, you will have a problem in executing the heel. The way to get onto the heel is by straightening the left knee. In other words, it must straighten and go forward. When you're on the heel, it will track a forward circle. The smaller, the better. Once the heel goes onto an inner back circle, then you are headed for doom, or you must get off that inner back and go forward. We'll watch them as they go. And that was forward, 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 went off circle a little bit forward, went back inner, and she got out. Stay open, goes forward, forward, a little big forward, but that's not bad. And now she comes out. Toe exit, because mostly, if you come just from a camel, it makes it difficult. Now that was centered pretty good, then it went outer. Very good, though. The last one will go backwards. It went backwards. If you could see, it went, as soon as it started going backwards, you went out. Mainly the basic fundamentals on the heel. You can use many different arm positions. The point is that you must be able to balance yourself the best. You must be able to balance yourself to the most optimum advantage. You have to have a good outer forward camel. Use all the basic fundamentals of an outer forward camel. Make sure that when you go onto the heel that you shove the foot forward. If you just pick up the toe and the knee is bent, then you will find that you will go backwards right away. All right, now Heath is going to do a heel. He has a very good position, and it's a very good control on the heel. April and he both use the right arm to snap forward when they're in the walks. It helps it right here. I'll show you the arm. There, 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 and there. Keep the walks in as straight as lineup as possible. Okay, now this is going to be the broken ankle. This is, as I had said before, a novelty spin. It doesn't exactly look as good as a nice stretched camel on the outer or inner, but it's done on the 2 side wheels, so therefore it's a novelty. The degree of difficulty is not extremely high, but if it's done very, very fast and it's done with much sureness, then it should get a high degree of difficulty. Now it's just like going into the inner back. Then you bend the knee a little more, go onto 2 wheels, turn the ankle in, and you've got it. Now we'll do the second one in slow motion. As you'll notice, the 3-turn coming from forward to back is almost a rocker, goes almost flat. To keep this flat, if you go onto a circle, it'll kill the camel. You can't go into this camel, or many camels, as a matter of fact, on a circle. You should have to go flat. Now, if you'll notice, in this camel, she holds the left hand down and the right hand up. The knee bends a lot to facilitate getting over onto the 2 wheels.
Viewers should not be critical of slow-motion video, which may have a tendency to exaggerate less than desirable body positioning, which would not necessarily be visible through normal viewing.
keep as straight a leg as possible when it's behind and open. The hip should be open. Again, we use the toe to come out. However, with a sit in it, it would be easier to come out on a regular edge. If you notice, April uses her right arm also over onto the broken ankle. Now pull into a sit, seat below the knee, and back up into a camel. Now, we call that a broken ankle corkscrew. It's very difficult to come from a sitting position on an inside edge and then back up into a camel position. You must keep the body over. The free leg should be higher than the body. This spin should receive a high degree of difficulty because of the problem with trying to get up into a back inner camel from a back inner sit. It's very hard. All the weight is on the inside of the circle, and you have to be very proficient to hit that spin. Now Heath is going to do his broken ankle, which is very good also. He has a slightly different arm position. Does the sit nice and fast, back into the corkscrew, which is the difficult move. That's the hard part of the spin. Even though the broken ankle looks very difficult, the hard part of this spin is the fact that he's going to have to draw this fast, and right here, that move is very difficult. Now we'll do the inverted camel. I use this slang, and I call it an invert. You go into it the same way as a back outer camel. Now, like the broken ankle or like the heel, you have to have a good basic camel to get this thing going. Usually when someone starts to learn this spin, they get into it from the back outer camel, and of course the back outer camel is going slow, about as slow as you should be, coming out of the invert, and then they try to do the inverted. But what you have to do is you have to be going very fast in the back outer camel, then you can turn over. Now actually facilitating the inverted position, here's what happens. You must come into the back outer camel, get set with the left side a little bit high, and try to avoid moving the top of the body. Actually what happens is the right foot starts to do a little bit of a 3 underneath. Your hips have to go forward, and you will probably have to bend the employed knee slightly. You also can bend the left knee. It will make you go a little bit faster, and you can get into the position a little bit easier. When she comes in, now the right foot cuts back. On the next one, we'll go slow motion so that you can see how that foot cuts under. Now, if you'll notice, the foot is going to turn almost a 3-turn underneath. You have to pull the back outer here now. Now the 3-turn will come right there. See it come under? And the left leg will come the other way just a little bit and stay. Don't move that left side. The left side's a little high. In this case, she has both arms back. I would not advise holding the hands on the waist. You can use a lot of different turns. Her free leg is relatively straight there. It's difficult. When you come up on the outer, try to remain on the outer. It has higher quality. That is from any back outer camel, rather than pulling up flat or to the toe stop or to an inner forward and then rocking over. And again, the inverted it's a novelty spin. It doesn't particularly have a lot of grace in it, but it's what I call a quirk, and of course you need that. Now we're going to do a 2-spin combination. It's going to be an outer forward camel and an outer forward sit. Earlier in the tape, I mentioned that the outer forward sit was very hard to do when you're just taking it from a back inner upright position. It becomes a little bit easier, and here you'll find the position is a little bit different. It's done with the free leg straight, in slightly to the side and in front. Now you hit the outer. You have to have a good outer. You draw it down with the free leg straight, slightly in front. Seat must be below the heel, and come up onto an outer if possible. You'll notice open hip, 1, 2, 1, 2. She uses the right arm to come in. Draw the free leg side and in front and up on an outer if possible. The third one. You can use many arm positions on there. And if it's desirable to get, if possible in these combinations, they're very good if you can get 3 spins at a minimum of 3 revolutions on the spin. In a competition, it always ends up who is the best one, whether it's 3 or not. But it's much better if you can get a good amount of revolution on them. Now we're going to do what I call the 4-way. It's 4 spins in one combination. This is a high counter spin because you do 2 camels and 2 sits. And you come from 2 sits into camels. So consequently, the basic fact that you're doing 4 different spins here, that, by the way, should turn. This is a good time to insert the fact that it's not how many spins that you do, but it is the quality of the spinning that you do. You have to have speed and grace, etc. I can do 4 spins in one combination, but if there's a half a revolution or none, or you struggle to get up to the last one, it really should receive discredit rather than credit as far as the judging point is concerned. Now we're going to show you 4 spins. It's outer forward camel, done with the same basics that we did before. The outer forward sit, which we just got done doing. Then we're going to come from the outer forward sit up into a back inner camel, which is a difficult move, and then back down into the inner back sit, which is relatively simple. However, it should be a high counting spin because there are 4 of them in there, and if you can do them well, there should be a lot of content on it. Outer forward camel, draw down into the sit, should have speed, back up into the inner back camel, and you try to get 3 revolutions if you can, in the seat below the heel. Now we'll do this one slow motion. Notice again the 3 turns, the walks, the skate goes almost to an outer to facilitate keeping the edges flat. Now, she's going to hit the outer forward camel. Her left foot snaps up under the body right there. Now we're going to go to the sit. Now the free leg comes around and to the side and in front. If you notice, the seat is very low. That's good. When you come up, try to come up on the outside part, then drop to the inner just before you get to the top and you get the inner back camel. Here she has both hands behind her on the inner back camel. It's a little bit different position. Now draw the leg wide around and in front, and you'll sit down. Get the seat down below the knee, and you got your sit. Both hands at this point in front on the sit, and you come up onto an upright and out quickly. Don't waste a lot of time on the upright spin. Walk, 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 walk. Hard onto the outer forward. With speed you can get up to make it go. Then pull hard, and you got your sit. Now we'll do a combination back outer camel, back outer sit. You take this walk in, the same if you to do a back outer camel, and then you draw the inner, get it spotted, get a good back outer camel position, and then try to hit the back outer sit without changing edge. Take the walk, 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 and pull. Now see, you're on an outer. Now try to stay there on that outer to hit the sit. Again, the seat has to be below the knee. A good, sharp outer back edge is desirable for the sit, and will make it easier for you to exit the spin. The next combination will be a heel camel, which we've gone through, and in an invert combination, you would change foot from the left to the right. The faster you go in, the better control and speed you have for the heel. Then at the right time, when you have control, change over, hit the inverted. And it's always nice to see how far you can get over on the inverted camel. This time both arms stretched out for the heel. Nice sharp. When you set your foot down, if you'll notice on the third one, when she sets her foot down, she starts setting it down from the heel. You don't bring the foot down and then try to just touch it to the floor. You start to hit it like right here. She's going to push, and that will give you a little bit better speed and control for the end of the inverted. The next item will be a little bit about routine construction. Now, I'm going to try to point out that it is much nicer cosmetically to have steps that go with the music, and it is even more interesting and desirable to get difficult steps such as rockers, counters, brackets, and have them go with the music. And it's even more difficult and more interesting to intersperse items into it, in which we will use, in this small section, will be sort of like a little training section. And we'll start it out very simply and go through it and make it more difficult as we go. Now, the first section will be very simple. Now, I'm not going to try to do this like they do in the beauty ads or anything and have her look very, very bad on the simple one and good on the end one. What we're going to try to do is to try to do them all very well, only do them a little bit different. Now, the first one will be with no footwork except forward skating and a couple of 3 turns at all. We're going to do a flip, and we're going to do a double loop. Now there's a stretch. She comes forward, very little arm move, straight forward, arched, and she's pretty, but no frills. Again, forward stroking, stretching. She still uses the head a little bit, and a double loop. Now let's watch it again. Forward runs. Forward runs. Not intentionally made to look bad, but just nothing in it, and out. All right, now this one is the same routine. However, for the sake of a name, I'm going to call it with intermediate footwork. I can't exactly classify everything right here. But this will be with a little footwork and a little novelty and a little different arm position on one of the jumps. And like on the flip, we're going to do with the hands over the head. Then we'll do a couple of toe hops instead of forward runs, and a 3-turn, forward outer 3-turn, a crossover, a back inner 3-turn, a step back, a little snap forward, and we'll run into the loop. And you'll see that with the music, that it'll look a little bit better. Now here we're going to do a little stretch. A stretch. Now we'll come out. We're going to do the flip with the hands over the head. It's novelty. Novelty toe hops. Then a forward outer 3, crossover, and a back inner 3. Step back, a snap forward, and into the double loop. Hands over the head, novelty toe hops. Simple 3s. That would be intermediate footwork. This is the third one, is the same routine, but now we're going to do what is difficult footwork. She's going to come in and do the same flip with the hands over the head, and the novelty from the jump, and then a novelty on the little toe hops with the toe stop. Then the same left 3, but from that crossover, she does a back outer left, counter, figure 22, outer forward left, bracket, figure 18, a cross front, a back to forward turn, and an inner forward bracket, figure 19, and repeat that, then into the double loop. Same, a little flare on the stretch here, double swing with the arms, hand over the head, novelty toe hops, 3 turn, now, outer back counter, bracket, cross, forward, bracket, will find, and especially in judging, that doing this with more rockers and counters makes it much more strenuous, much more difficult, and should receive that extra little amount or a lot amount that you would get. So in judging, if there's no interruption in between and you can do these items, you will find that you will have to award a higher mark. I hope that in some way this has helped all of the skaters, and the judges can use this to benefit skating in the future. Thank you.
The preceding instructional video program, made possible through a grant from the United States Olympic Foundation, has been produced and endorsed by the United States Amateur Confederation of Roller Skating. It is offered as an educational tool for the development of active or hopeful participants in amateur roller skating competition and persons who are or may wish to become coaches and/or judges of amateur artistic roller skating competition. The techniques in the disciplines of artistic roller skating illustrated here are recognized by the United States Amateur Confederation of Roller Skating as official standards for which successful competitors are expected to strive, towards which competent coaches are expected to teach, and by which commissioned judges are expected to score. This presentation on free skating is one of a series of 5 such videotapes available through the USAC-RS National Office in Lincoln, Nebraska. The 4 other programs are International Dance, Pairs, American Dance, and Figure Skating. All of the oral and visual elements of this program are the exclusive copyright property of the United States Amateur Confederation of Roller Skating, which has sole authority for its use and reproduction.